Hey, what's going on, Los Angeles? Welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LA Football Network, live on the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio. Thank you all for making us a part of your day. Hope everyone having a blessed Friday. Excited for the weekend. I know we certainly are. Today is my daughter's birthday. Mia Ray Dyrud, 4 years old today. Insane that I have a 4-year-old. She'll start TK in August. It's wild. It goes fast. Every dad and mother out there, the cliche is real that time flies by. So enjoy every moment of it. There's my little soapbox speech for you, but hope everyone's doing well. Fun show today, talking all things Rams. Obviously, we're going to get into a big signing. The Rams all-pro corner. I know he's had some injuries, so we'll see if we like it, we love it, we hate it. Talking about that signing, a 1-year deal for Tre'Davious White. Look a little bit at the cap a little bit, and then we're going to talk some draft defensive line prospects. We're going to go round by round, and we can look at prospects that the Rams could have potential at each round. So we'll get all into that. First and foremost, welcome into my co-host, Mr. Ryan Skinny T Anderson. What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Doing pretty fantastic. I forgot it was your daughter's birthday, so happy birthday to Mia. And opening day is upon us, and spring is here, and just a fabulous time to be a sports fan. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, it's great. Like, obviously, no live football, which is what we do here, but it's draft season, which is like a live sport in itself.
Yeah.
You got NBA and NHL playoffs starting. Baseball, like you mentioned, opening day. March Madness is going on. Sweet 16 is going on right now. So that's a great segue to mention our friends over at BetOnline. So head to betonline.ag, and all of those sports you can win some money on, hopefully, or lose, but have some fun. Just don't go crazy. Use our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. Gets you a 50% bonus on your first deposit. So it's betonline.ag, promo code BELIEVE. Tell them the guys at the Rams Skinny sent you. Well, my friend, I'm glad to hear things are going well. We've got sunshine again, even though it's apparently it's going to rain again this weekend. I mean, we're just in crazy spring weather right now. But some sunshine, at least on the Rams secondary. At least I think most people think. So we'll get your thoughts, and I'll give my true thoughts. But Tre'Davious White, formerly of the Bills, signs a 1-year, it's like $8.25 million up to $10 million with some incentives and whatnot, deal with the Rams. So before I give my thoughts, just your thought on the signing. Were you surprised? I know we talked about it 2 weeks ago that he was visiting and could be a fit. Now joins, Cameron Curl as safety, Derion Williams. So Rams didn't do anything on the edge in the defensive line, but they did do some big signings in the secondary. So your thoughts on Tre'Davious White?
Yeah, I think on its face, it is a good signing. It's a 1-year deal. So if the bottom falls out of this, he's just not healthy, can't get healthy, can't stay healthy, isn't as explosive as an athlete as he used to be. You can move on pretty quickly, which is what you want in that situation. And the upside has been proven. He's all pro not that long ago. They have to invest in their defense at some point. And the way this defensive backfield is shaping up, I like it a lot. You mentioned Curl, great addition, from a salary caps perspective, maybe one of the steals of all of free agency. Derion Williams coming back. He's not the prototypical guy that I wanted to see in the defensive backfield, but he had a great year, and he always proved to be a good Rams defensive back when they're in their Super Bowl run. And then you just add another solid piece over there. So it takes a lot of pressure off of the young guys, Derion Kendrick and Cobie Durant. I'm starting to see what they're doing back there, and I like it. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. On the surface, I think, it's great. I don't want to say I'm surprised. Well, I'm a little surprised he was able to still get that much money coming off the injuries that he's had. 8.5, 8.25 is not like, Jalen Ramsey money, but it certainly is more than, a lot of other corners make that have had some success in this league. So, looking back, just for those who don't know, drafted in 2017, he's 29 years old. So getting close to 30. So obviously we know how corners drop off on the other side of 30, but he was the runner-up defensive rookie of the year in 2017. And then just 2 or 3 seasons later, 2019 was his all-pro year. And the next year in 2020, he was a Pro Bowl season as well, did miss 2 games that year, and then ever since has not played a full season. So that's where the concerns kind of come in. 21, just 11 games, 22, just 6 games, and last year, just 4 games. Still has had an interception, at least one in every single season, even in that 4-game season last year. So you can certainly see the upside, Skinny, is there. And so this is one of those really, I don't want to say low risk, but medium risk for very high reward. And if if that medium risk hits, unfortunate, it didn't pan out. But yeah, you're not like locking this guy in for 3 years, 30 million or something like that, where he's going to hurt you down the line. I think it's good for him because he can come and prove he can stay healthy and get one more big contract. He'll be, like I said, 30. So most corners get one more deal out of that if possible. So I think it's smart for him to come to the rehabilitation center that is the Los Angeles Rams and rehash his image. And, you got Tre'Davious Williams coming back who's going to know the defense fairly well, has had success here. You have, obviously the young guys we've talked about a lot. They drafted last year, and we'll I'm sure have more draft picks coming in this draft. And then, as you mentioned, with Cameron Curl on the back end, and whether they do Russ Yeast or Quentin Lake or whatever beside him, there's at least some continuity there in terms of talent wise, and then a guy returning from last year. So yeah, medium risk, really high reward, because if you get even 10 to 11 games out of Trey White, he plays at an all pro level when healthy. It's all about the health. So certainly has the ability that if he can do that, that's an upgrade from Akhello Witherspoon if healthy.
Certainly. Yeah. And if you look at it from a drafting perspective, this takes the pressure off that first round pick having to be one of 3 defensive positions. Now it's down to just one of 2 defensive positions that we'll talk about. So, I think that it's the right move. It's probably not the long-term move. We'll see what happens, but investment in the defense is what we've been calling for the last 2 seasons. And so now it's more important than ever,
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of the birthday girl coming in,
happy birthday.
What are you doing? Saying hi? Well, we're on radio, so you gotta go out. But yeah, I think it's great. My thought when it came out that he was visiting, and I know he was going to visit other teams as well, but I had a pretty good inkling that he would be a Ram. It just guys that, need a fresh start. This is a great, almost every player outside of maybe Allen Robinson has come here and had success and then got a paycheck either with the Rams again or usually elsewhere and got paid. So I think it's a great opportunity for him. And I think just the defense he fits in potentially. And, we still don't fully know Chris Shula's vision now as the DC, but we have to assume it's going to be similar to what they've done, over the last 4 to 5 seasons, dating even back to Brandon Staley, since Shula's been on all these staffs. So yeah, it just felt like a good fit for him and a good opportunity. And, yeah, we knew they had to invest. Let me ask you this before we move on. And, I feel like we're beating a dead horse here, but you're giving 8 to 10 million to another position player when they could have got a Jadeveon Clowney, who just signed yesterday with the Carolina Panthers. Some of these other edge guys that are still out there. Like, does it surprise you that still they have done nothing on the defensive front and thrown, 3 positions down on the back end? So they needed that. That's good. But nothing on the front, on the front defensive front. Like, does that A, concern you, B, surprise you?
Concern and surprise. Yes, absolutely. I've been expecting an edge rusher at any time. Whether that's Kyle Van Noy, Michael Dana's still out there. Something other than Michael Hoyt. I don't like to talk poorly about Michael Hoyt, but he doesn't have the speed that they need at the edge. And I think that Byron Young is a fantastic prospect. But if you go back and you look at his pressures per game, he had 30 pressures in the season. 20 of them came in the first 7 games, and only 10 in the back 9 games.
Wow.
Or 10 games. There's 17 games. Yeah. So, still developing prospect. And what does that defensive line look like without Aaron Donald around it? What does Kobie Turner's year look like without Aaron Donald next to him? without Coach Eric Henderson, who's now with USC. It's it's only question marks at that position, and entirely on defense too, because everything's changed. All bets are off now.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea what this defense is going to look like because Aaron Donald was so important to the defense, and we're going to talk all about the draft, but the draft isn't a place where you land necessarily proven NFL talent. We've beat that dead horse enough. But it's just a question mark. I feel a lot better about the secondary. I like that now they don't have to draft a guy in the first round. They can use a second round for a cornerback. I think they should add cornerbacks in the draft as well. So it's not done what they're going to do back there, but this is a good option for now.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, we've said time and time again, right? Like, you don't want to go, you're always going to have needs. So I don't want to get misspoke here. But you don't want to go into the draft being forced to take a position because of glaring needs. Like, obviously you always want to upgrade. You're always hoping these guys can come in and really make an impact right away, like the class did last year. I mean, but let's be honest, that was an outlier. Like, you can't predict 3 to 4 rookies to have a high impact that the Rams did last year. If you can do that every year, then you're the GM of the century and coach of the century, which, I think Lestine is a very good one of the tops in the NFL. So absolutely believe that. But, you can't expect to hit at that clip every single year. And so it does concern me. And this is a positive show. Like, we like the Tre'Davious White signing overall. But you just don't want to go into the draft with like, man, we have Kobie Turner, who had a phenomenal rookie year, but he's going into year 2 with a new D-line coach and without his Batman and Aaron Donald. And that's basically it. Bobby Brown is your other nose tackle starter who also has had trouble staying healthy. They re-signed Laurel Murchison, we've talked about. I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect, there's other guys out there, but you're going into the draft with basically one quality starter on the defensive front. And so, not saying someone like, and I know Jadeveon Clowney is more edge than he is defensive front. No, but not saying even someone like that is like the answer to all, but at least you have someone that's played 8 years in the league, has some pedigree, can like come in and adapt, and like has got licked his chops in the league a little bit. I mean, you're going into next year with, I don't have the snap count in front of me. I haven't added it all up, but I'd be curious, Skinny T, if we added the snap count of the Rams defensive line, it's probably not very high with all of them combined.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, no, it's, they not only need a couple of starters at defensive line, at the interior. Let's say, they just want to roll with Michael Hoyt and Byron Young again. Your starters, you just have Kobie Turner there in the interior. That's your starters. And you have no rotation. You really don't have any rotational pieces. You don't have any depth pieces. There are defensive linemen that only play, early downs, only come in third down to rush the passer. So, a lot of question marks. It's putting a lot of onus on the offense just being one of the greatest shows on turf. I guess we'll rehash that nickname.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to have to be. And I understand that the sometimes the best defense is keeping your offense on the field and taking chunks of time off the clock by running the ball, and they're kind of setting themselves up to be that way. But defense wins championships. Defense wins in January in playoff games. So, there's still lots of time. There's still guys out there. Calais Campbell's still out there. I really like that idea, even though he's 38 probably. And T.R. Tart is an interesting name along the defensive line. Kyle Van Noy is still out there. So there's still free agents to add to this. So, I'm not sounding any alarms, but it's just always been, they've just never invested really in the edge position. They two top 100 picks they've used at edge. And the most recent one was Byron Young, who's doing well. The one before that was Terrell Lewis, who didn't work out. But you think about all the other guys that they use, late round picks on, Chris Garrett and who's the super athletic guy last year? That's
Daniel Hardy.
Daniel Hardy, yeah, and there's a whole list of guys like that have been, second, third, fourth round picks, sixth, seventh, eighth, all, but they just really haven't used it. And they refuse to pay a premium to go out there in free agency or pay a premium to trade for one of the guys. And it's probably the most important position on defense, especially in a post Aaron Donald world.
Yeah, especially in a post Aaron Donald world. Yeah. And yeah, they haven't in the draft. They've always kind of gone the route of, go get Dante Fowler, go get Leonard Floyd, go get Von Miller. And so we kind of thought that was going to be the case this year, right? Like, okay. And at the time we didn't know Aaron Donald. We didn't know Aaron Donald was retiring. So it was like, okay, they got 30 million or so in cap space to play with. Like, we assume that they're going to go after one of the edge guys, or a trade everyone talked about for 2 years about Brian Burns. And then there was a Josh Allen optionality out of Jacksonville and stuff like that. And none of it came to fruition. And I think in part, it was just probably a little too rich. Maybe it was, teams didn't want to deal edge. I mean, sometimes too, there's maybe that, right? That fatigue of like, man, the Rams keep getting all the good edge guys whenever they want. I'm like, no, we're not going to trade you that guy. No, we're not making that happen. And then the last thing I'll say about this, and we can talk a little bit cap, and we'll get into the defensive line on the draft. And we've said this before too, but this move of Tre'Davious White just a little bit reiterates this thought. And we said, I can't remember how many episodes ago it was, but it seemed like the way free agency has gone, there was a thought from Les Snead and the powers that be that, well, there's no way we can replace Aaron Donald. So let's not even try at that position, and we'll just fortify everything else. And if our weakest unit is the defensive line, well, let's just have a damn good secondary and a really good offense. And it seems like that's kind of the approach, because they've done nothing on the offensive line. They've signed now 3 guys in the secondary: Cameron Curl, Darius Williams bringing back, and Tre'Davious White. And then obviously we know what they've done on offense, fortifying the offensive line and so on and so forth. So, and, getting the tight end and whatnot. So it seems like that's more the thought process, is like, well, no one out there is even going to come close to Aaron Donald. So let's not even try. We'll just fortify the other spots, and we'll hope we hit a home run in the draft again, like Kobie Turner.
Okay. I mean, that's a way to go about it.
I mean, if it works, it's genius. If it doesn't, and they're giving up 160 yards on the ground per game, then we can say, well, we probably should have signed the veteran on the defensive front.
Yeah, 160 yards on the ground, and also like no pressure. Like where's all the pressure coming from? You lose 31 pressures out of 131 pressures just in Aaron Donald, and not just that, but how he affected the entire defense. So, maybe
we'll get what we were asking for, and we'll see Ernest Jones rush the passer, every series. But again, a lot of his pressures were because Aaron Donald's getting double and triple team, so he's able to do a stunt up the middle through the gap.
Yeah,
not going to have that without Aaron Donald.
Well, so that brings up an interesting question. So Vegas odds maker came out with the Vegas odds makers came out with their over under predictions for the entire league, but the Rams were at 8.5.
Yeah.
What do you think? 8.5 wins for? Are you taking the over? Or are you taking the under?
I'm hammering the over, I think. I mean, even with the concerns on the defensive front, like, that just seems very, very low for a team that, again, it's so hard because it's like, did they just surprise everyone last year and like everyone just wrote them off and so they just weren't prepared? Or were they really a much better football team than what the preseason people really thought? And me and you both thought they'd be better than what most people thought, but they have definitely surprised, and how many games they won and coming this close to winning a playoff game. But losing Aaron Donald, I think, certainly has a big effect, but I don't think it's a worse season than last year. I think they should at least be on pace for a similar 10-win type season. But yeah, what do you think? I mean, I'm hammering the over. What do you think?
I mean, I'm leaning over just because NFC just really hasn't gotten much better. I don't think the Niners have gotten better. I think they're going to fare better in the division than they did last year. And it's very early to say exactly. Maybe Caleb Williams falls to 19. Nobody wants to take a swing on Caleb Williams, and all of a sudden they just have like 2 quarterbacks in the backfield. Anything can happen. The Max Crosby trade still out there, guys. 2 first-round picks.
It's picking up steam. It's picking up steam. Yeah. But I'll say, I've seen a lot of people talk, not necessarily from us, but I've seen people starting to talk about that scenario a lot more. And I will say, not to cut you off, but if they take Bo Nix at 19, then yeah, I'm taking the under on 8.5. Then I'll go under.
A lot of people talking quarterback at 19. This is a digression, and we didn't plan to talk about this, but we have in our minds that there's this 2 to 3 year Super Bowl window that they're shooting for. What if Les Snead's mind has just opened up into because in a post Aaron Donald world of what does the Super Bowl window actually look like? Are we still in that 2 to 3 window? And if he pulls the trigger on a quarterback in 19, that means he's thinking, much longer down the line.
Yeah, for real. Real quick, if you guys are on radio listening, we got to take a quick break. So we'll be right back with more Rams talk. So make sure to keep it right here on 1090 ESPN Radio. Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah, that is the thinking of, I mean, we'll see. I mean, right now it's all smokescreen season too, so no one really knows anything. And, analysts can say what they think and even what they hear, but it doesn't mean that that's what the team is doing. So we hope the Rams are not going quarterback at 19. We believe they will go quarterback at some point with one of their 11 picks. But man, it cannot be at 19 because there's just too many needs right now, as we've been talking about, especially on this defensive line. So I think that, unless you have anything else to add, is a good segue to talk defensive line prospects.
Let's do it.
Shall we do it?
Yeah.
All right. So Skinny T just dropped a great article on LAFBnetwork.com, basically highlighting one interior, we'll talk edge next episode, one interior defensive lineman in every round. Obviously, the Rams are not taking one every round, so don't mishear us. But if they don't take one in the first round, then who potentially could they take in the second round? If they don't go second, if they wait till the third, who can they do there? They don't have a fourth, so then you wait till the fifth. So just outlining kind of some optionality. And then you can decide, do you like them going there in the first round? Or do you like taking the risk at one of the later rounds and seeing if they can get a Kobie Turner-like production out of a mid-round pick? So let's have some fun with it. I don't think I'll have too much to counter you. You did the research, you did the list. Obviously, I've been looking into this and looking at draft stuff a lot too. But I'll let you kick it off with your analysis on round one.
Certainly. Well, and one of the things I started off my my draft preview stuff with this article for the Rams because according to Jordan Rodriguez, her reporting said that Les Snead is specifically looking at defensive line at every stop. So that gives us a nice peek behind the curtain of his thinking of what he wants to do. So everybody's got him up there. Everybody's got this guy as the number one defensive lineman in the draft. And he can, there's a world where he does fall to 19. So they're not going to have to necessarily trade up to get him. But Byron Murphy out of Texas, super athletic and a big dude, 6'1", 308 pounds, getting some comps to the man, the myth, the legend, Aaron Donald. Nobody expects him to do that, but at 19, I think this is a great place to go. Led the team with 45 pressures and topped all of college football with a 19.6 pass rush win rate. So definitely a guy that can be a starter right off the bat. So any thoughts on Byron Murphy?
Yeah, I mean, this to me, we will talk more edge, and I'll just say off the top, I would still personally lean edge in the first round. But at interior, this would be the home run pick. I mean, Byron Murphy, I think, has all the tools you need. Production in college, comes from an institution that, not downplaying smaller schools or whatnot, but you're getting a little more guys coming out of and they were still in the Big Ten, but entering the SEC. But Texas, obviously, a premier school and a historical college, which doesn't mean everything, but it plays some weight into it. So to me, Byron Murphy, I mean, this is definitely a home run pick. If he were to fall to 19, if they don't have to trade up and get him and he's sitting there at 19, you just run that to the commissioner and make that pick happen. And again, there will never be another Aaron Donald. There's just no way, in my opinion. I mean, we didn't think there'd be another Tom Brady and look at Pat Mahomes, but anyway, that's a different conversation. I don't think there will ever be another Aaron Donald, but this is a guy that has potential to be very good. And we can just say this, maybe he can have a Kobie Turner like rookie season. That I think could be a good expectation for a Byron Murphy.
Yeah, they'd be a really fantastic pairing as well. Kobie Turner played a lot of nose tackle. I think I'm kind of interested to see what he's going to look like in the 3 technique. And Byron Murphy can definitely play nose tackle, but he can also move out. So you get some fun optionality there. So my next pick, this is also probably first round, probably trade back if they're interested in that. He could go early in the second round, but the Rams don't pick till 54 in that round, so they'd have to kind of squeeze him in the first round. T'Vondre Sweat again from Texas, but he's the bigger one. They got a bigger one there, 6'4", 362. This would be kind of a change in philosophy, but like I said, all of that stuff is on the table for the Rams now. They're revamping their defense. So this is a guy that's just going to be in the middle, run stuffer, just pushing guys around. And, he's going to absorb some of that kind of attention that Donald would get just because he is so massive. You just can't move him. He's not going to be moved by one offensive lineman. So that's kind of why I would go for that. Again, he would be your true nose tackle. And that would allow Kobie to kind of move around. So,
yeah, it shows if you have 2 interior D linemen that are potentially going to go in the first round, you can see why Texas made the college football playoff at that. So anytime you have multiple guys in the first round, that usually bodes well for your season, or at least should, unless it's just horrible coaching or the other positions are so bad. But this would be another, I think, good pick, especially if you're able to move back a little bit, go from 19 to 25 or something and still able to get him. You'd feel really good about that. And like you said, the size and being able to add that meat to the defensive line might be necessary for what they need. I know Bobby Brown is kind of your nose right now. And, I think there's still a lot of potential with Bobby Brown, but unfortunately just hasn't been able to stay on the field, whether it's health or being scratched or whatever it may be. And he doesn't have Eric Henderson, who was essentially the guy that drafted him. I mean, he was the guy that really wanted Bobby Brown at the time. And so, he's the slated starter right now, but doesn't mean they can't draft someone that can potentially be the true nose. The last guy I'll mention in the first skinny, and then we'll go to the second, is Jerzon Newton out of Illinois, I think is another potential top first round pick. According to PFF, doesn't have a ton of like natural flexibility, but he is a big dude, can play the 3 or 5 technique, so can kind of move around the defensive line and gives you some optionality there. So just want to throw his name out before moving to the second round.
Yeah. So my pick in the second round was Chris Jenkins. I called him perhaps the second most athletic defensive lineman in this draft. Played at Michigan, 6'2", 300 pounds. He's just, as you like to call him, bring your lunch pail to work kind of guy.
There you go.
He's got the work ethic. He was captain for the Wolverines, which speaks a lot. Any trench guy that Jim Harbaugh likes that much, like, it's my seal of approval for that. I don't foresee him being kind of the one man wrecking crew of a Donald or anything like that, but a guy that can take starting reps day one, I think.
Yeah, you said it. Guy with productivity in college. He's got the size, lunch pail, high motor guy. Always the fun draft words to say, but yeah, that anyone on that Michigan defense, I mean, national title Michigan defense, especially against the run, was so dominant. And you mentioned the review of Harbaugh and Jesse Minters, who the bright young defensive minds in all of football. Now the Chargers DC. So this, I think, would be another great pick, especially at, you think that 52, they have a good shot, or do you think they'd have to move up from 52 in the second, or they sit pretty good right there?
They're in the range, I think, this draft is so offense heavy that it's going to be interesting to see when the defensive guys start to come off the board. You look at the first round and it's, people are going to be investing in quarterback, wide receiver, tackles, guards, centers,
tight end with Bowers.
Tight end in the first round. So I think, the possible scoop is the Los Angeles Chargers, who also are needy in this area, and they have Harbaugh at head coach, and he's I think they're picking in the late 30s, somewhere in there, 37, 38, something like that.
Yeah. If he goes early, it'll be the Chargers taking him at whatever it is, 36 or something.
So if they love this guy, yeah, it's a trade up, but I don't think he has to. I don't think they will trade up for this guy. So, but just to go over some of his measurables from the combine, 94th percentile in the broad jump. So just an explosive athlete there, 87th percentile in the 40-yard dash. And his 10-yard splits in 75. So he's just got some nice explosive traits to him as well. So always good to see that.
Yeah. That's what you want to see. Love it. So, all right, third round, I think, is a player that I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot of fans would be pretty excited about this player. And I believe he visited the Rams, or at least met with the Rams. Well, I guess wouldn't have at the combine because the Rams don't go to the combine, but had some relation with the Rams or whatever. But anyway, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, Braden Fisk out of Florida State. He transferred from Western Michigan, and he was really good at Western Michigan, had really good stats, and then he moves to a higher level of competition, and they stay the same. So
love to see that.
Yeah. Similar lunch pail guy, strength, grit, doesn't wear gloves. Everybody likes to point that out. He doesn't wear gloves as a defensive lineman, which is pretty rare. I don't know what it means, but it says something. It's like the guys that don't wear the face masks in hockey. It's like, what do you?
Yeah, I guess like they're there to help you. Like just you can wear them, it's okay, but maybe he gets better feel with the old digits, I guess, without anything covering them up.
Throw the guys around.
Yeah,
explosive get off and sheer strength. That's what his game's all about. And another relentless motor, high motor guy. I don't have his measurables pulled up right now, but not a huge guy, but certainly a force in the middle.
Yeah, just about 300 pounds. Probably could definitely put on, a little bit more weight once getting into the NFL. But reminds me, not the same size, but has similar kind of vibes like Gray Gaines, right? The Rams were able to get in the fourth round. He is 6'4", so it gives you good height. Like I said, route 295 or so. So I would expect his NFL playing weight to be closer to probably 310, depending where they want him. If they want him more on the defensive edge, like a 3 tech, or if they want him as a true 1 or 0 tech, that'll probably obviously define what his weight would be. But yeah, I mean, great explosive get off, which is what you want from that position. So Braden Fisk, I think, is a guy that's getting a lot of kind of excitement around the NFL, and I think he'd be fitting good in the Rams uniform.
Yeah. So round 5, I've got Mason Smith. There's 2 A's in that, Mason.
Nice.
He's a really good, intriguing prospect, good size and speed kind of guy. He's not super fast. He's 5.0 40-yard dash, but 6'6", 306 pounds. It's kind of similar to Tre'Davious Sweat, where he's just big in the middle. Obviously he's not quite as big, but you get both size and speed with this guy. So I think we're getting to the place where we're talking more depth rather than starting talent here. We skipped round 4 because the Rams somehow don't have a pick in round 4.
Yeah, odd.
Yeah,
odd.
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, no, I like this again. 6'6", 306 that you mentioned. So at this point, you're drafting for upside, and then if you can develop and get a guy that is unexpected, then that's great in round 5. Which obviously one of the best ones of last season came from the 5th round in Puka Nacua, different position obviously, but yeah. So if you're able to get any kind of production and growth and stuff, then that's great. So I think this is a solid pick in the 5th round, coming from LSU. And with the size that he has, you see what you can get out of him.
Yeah. 6th round out of Auburn, Justin Rogers. This is just a play for bigness. 6'2", 330 pounds. That's all I got on this guy. Yeah.
Big boy.
Auburn, SEC guy, anybody that can play defense in there. You gotta like that. And more of a run stopper than a pass rusher, early down guy. Again, depth. This is a depth piece. So I think if you're picking 5th, 6th, 7th round here, you also have to have another plan up front.
Yeah, if he's able to get on the field, this is a guy that, he's a run stuffer, hole plugger, but you're also basically saying, hey, we're going to use you as a decoy to get Kobie Turner more pressures. And whether that's, doing different stunts or twists where Turner's running around, or you're just filling a gap and hopefully taking the center and the guard away. So Turner's one-on-one. That's kind of what you utilize him for. So, that's the game within the game of what you use. It's a chess match, and he may not be a guy who's going to get you a bunch of sacks and get pressure himself, but if he can take on two guys his own and free up a guy at a one-on-one matchup, then that's kind of all you can ask for, especially for a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, so to wrap it up, I got Keith Randolph Jr. from Illinois. He's actually a bit more of a technician, which you don't see a lot of this late. Doesn't bring a lot to the table in terms of pure athleticism, but a decent size. And he's able to shed blocks and kind of get some penetration. So this is a guy that his upside is actually in the pass rush.
There you go. So you get kind of a little difference from all of these guys in terms of what their best ability, which obviously is what you're going to see in the NFL draft. So, in the 7th round, you're literally throwing darts. So you're just, hey, if we get a guy that has good size and we think we can coach him up, and we'll see. And if it hits, great. I'm trying to think, when was the last solid 7th-round pick the Rams have taken? I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Like I said, the 2020 class, they're gone. No one in the 2020 class, and I think they had 3 7th-round picks that year. So I'm trying to think of
Ethan Evans, our punter.
There you go. That's a solid one.
Russ Yeast, 7th rounder.
7th. That's right.
Ben Skowronek.
Benny Skro. I mean, jury's out on him. He didn't do much. He was like a lot of hype going into last year, and then didn't do much at all last year. But hey, he's on the team, so that's great.
Captain of the special teams,
which is important. That's what you want out of your 7th-round picks. Now, you're probably not going to get a big time special teamer when you're looking at a defensive interior lineman, but you need guys to block on the punt, rush the passer on the punt. So there you
go. Another thing I forgot to mention about Keith Randolph is he was also a team captain. I always love that. I remember reading years and years ago that's what one of the things that Bill Belichick always sought after in the draft, which sometimes his drafts work and sometimes his drafts aren't so great, but
he had a couple good ones and a couple really bad ones.
Yeah,
that's a different conversation. So let me ask you this as we wrap up. Looking kind of at this list, and this is obviously one player in each round. Like, things are going to go way differently, most likely. But when you kind of look at this list, do you feel like the Rams need to go 1st round, get one of those 1st-round potential guys, or do you feel good enough about the 2nd, 3rd, 4th-round guys that maybe they can wait, go edge or best player available at 19 and take one of the guys in the middle rounds?
Man, it's tough because I'm leaning toward they need to get somebody in the 1st round. Just because they need starters in there. And unless they do make a play for Tier Tart or Calais Campbell, 1st round is where, I think that's where they are. Now, do I feel like they should trade up to go get Murphy? I'm on the fence about that one. It's a tough sell, just because, you're still in the middle rounds. He is the best prospect, but can you find a starter somewhere else that isn't going to cost you a bunch of draft capital? So I think 2nd and 3rd round is a lock. So I think if Chris Jenkins does fall at that point, you got to get that guy. I think you can get starting reps out of him, and Braden Fisk too. Both those guys are scrappers and fighters and can help you in the pass rush and in run defense. So that's kind of where I am. Where do you fall in this conversation?
Yeah, similarly, like what I would do, which we know Les Snead's probably going to go offensive tackle or something completely different. But what I would do is basically I'd have my top 3 D tackles and top 3 edge guys, 1st-round grades, or top 2 maybe. And whoever's there at 19, if it's one of the edge guys and one of the D tackles, I feel good about either one then. because we need both those positions. If it's no D tackles and 2 edge guys, great, I'm going with one of the edge. If it's no edge guys and 1 D tackle, I'm going with the edge. So I'm basically taking 3 to 4 players of those 2 positions and saying we are drafting this position. Now, if they all get taken, well, then that's when hell really breaks loose, and you really got to get a little creative there. And then you go with you said getting a Fisk or someone in later rounds, hopefully. But for me right now, it's got to be edge or D tackle in the first. I'm fine either way. We'll talk about the edge scenarios on the next episode, so we'll dive in that more. But either one of those, I think, has to be the pick at this point, unless, again, in the next 3 weeks, they do add, another vet to the line. Then it gives you some flexibility, and you can have a little more malleable draft board. But for me, it's got to, you got to pick your 3 guys at those positions and say, okay, this is what we're doing, unless somehow all 3 or 4 are gone.
So Latu, and Byron Murphy available at 19. You're going Latu. You're going Latu?
If Murphy's at 19, like they don't have to, if it's like, obviously this is a perfect world, but if it's like, do you trade up and get Murphy or do you sit at 19 and take Latu? I'm going Latu. If you're at 19 and both are there, I might lean Murphy. It's close. I love Latu. I think he's going to be a really, not just because he's UCLA, LA guy. I think he's going to be a really, really good pass rusher in this league, but just the hole you have on the interior, I think Murphy would almost be a must if he's there at 19. Like, it would be silly to not take him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. I think that Murphy's a definite starter right off the bat. Just put him in there, and I think that Latu is going to take a little bit of time to find his stride. Definitely a starter, though. Yeah,
I think Latu starts right away. I just don't know if he's going to be like starting getting double digits of sacks as a rookie.
Yeah.
Whereas Murphy's going to have, again, not like double digit sacks, but he's going to have production from the interior that you need with no Aaron Donald. So
instant impact, yeah.
Instant impact, both. But both would be ecstatic. But we'll talk edges next week, because that's all the time we got here on this episode of the Rams Skinny. For everyone hanging out on radio, thank you so much. If you're on LAFBnetwork.com or the Rams LAFB YouTube page, we appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. For Skinny T, I'm Ryan Dowd. Everyone have a great weekend. Talk to you all here in a couple days.